The camphouse shed project is trudging along and it's time to add the windows and doors. My design has a total of 9 windows and 2 doors, including a cool metal roll-up door. In this episode, I try my hand at making a custom window. I get the honor and the privilege of demoing a section of my brand new wall, well, really 2 sections, and engage in a bloody hard-fought battle with a rolled-up tube of steel. And here I was thinking this was going to be the easy part. On today's episode of I Have No Idea What I'm Doing, I'm going to put in windows and doors. And though you may not be able to see them, there are a total of 8 windows on this shed, as well as 2 doors, including a giant 6-foot wide by 7-foot tall roll-up door. Now most sheds have 1, maybe 2 windows, but I obviously am a shed contrarian, so I'm putting 8 in mine. You see, I wanted to get a bunch of natural light in the shed, but not get in the way of the utility of the shed itself. So I tried to place the windows in places where it wasn't going to get in the way too much of storing things, especially up against the wall. Now, as you probably know, progress on the roof is stopped because of supply chain issues. Well, really, it's my inability to order enough materials at the beginning. But anyway, another item that was surprisingly hard to find were utility windows for a shed. Because the shed is not going to be insulated or climate controlled in any way, I don't need double pane fancy windows, I just need a single sheet of glass. And these cheapo little windows are actually kind of tough to find, especially in a trim color other than white. So if you're looking for shed windows, I'm going to leave a link down to where I got these. It's a small company, they were really great to work with. Kind of a diamond in the rough in my opinion. But anyway, that's enough talk. Let's go cut some holes in our newly wrapped shed. Now, I don't want to start a war on the science of building technology, but there appear to be a couple of popular ways to cut house wrap for window installation. Some opt to fold the wrap into the framed opening, while others actually trim it flush. I'm going with the flush variety because, well, the video I watched on that method was the most convincing to me. Regardless of what method you choose, sealing the bottom sill plate of the window is very important because of, like gravity. It turns out water is very obedient when it comes to the laws of physics and tends to collect at the lowest point, so protecting the surface is key. I'd like to remind you that I'm an idiot, so don't necessarily pay attention to how I seal the corners, but rather that I'm trying really hard, okay? This flashing tape I'm using is a thick butyl material and sticks to just about anything. Next up is to apply sealant around the windows, and based on my extensive experience in construction, I know that you should only apply sealant to the sides and top of the window, not the bottom. The idea here is to provide a pathway for the water to exit from behind the window if it does in fact get back there. After checking level, I secure the window in place with screws around the perimeter, maybe skipping a hole or 2 around the flange. Next up was flashing the sides. This flashing tape is the first layer of sealing protection against water, the sealant behind the window flange being the backup. Once each side is flashed, I can move on to sealing the top. Now, I know I could have flashed under the flap and then flipped it down on top, but this is just how I did it. And again, notice how I don't flash the bottom edge. Remember, pathway for water to get out. Then I just repeat those steps on the other 7 windows around the shed. And about 2 windows into this, I totally get why people don't put 8 windows on sheds. I did have a bit of a close call putting in this last transom window on the back side. I took my eyes off it for just a second to grab the drill and, whew, closely avoided disaster. That would have been annoying. Okay, that wraps up all 8 windows around the shed. We've got them all flashed in place, sealed up nice and tight, but actually there's a 9th window. It's supposed to go right there. And for that one, I'm actually gonna build it myself. And for that, let's go back to the shop. All right, so my plan is to turn all of this plus the sheet of polycarbonate into a custom window. And like pretty much everything on this project, I have never done this before. So I sat in the aisle of Lowe's for about 30 minutes figuring out how I was gonna do it. And I think I came up with a plan. The basic frame of the window is gonna be made out of these 1x4s, and I'm gonna cut a slot in each of them to accept that polycarbonate sheet that will be kind of trapped in the entire assembly. And then to try to make these windows match the other windows, I'm going to cap all of the open ends of the frame itself with this aluminum channel. I'm gonna paint this a dark brown, similar to the other ones. I'm then gonna take this angled piece here and attach it around the outside perimeter, forming kind of a flange that I can use to secure to the outside of the shed. This is what we're gonna be sealing against and flashing to. I'm almost positive I'm overthinking this, but let's just try it and see how it works. Now, I've got to admit, it's kind of nice being back in the shop actually doing something that isn't up on top of a ladder or a roof for that matter. After getting all of my pieces cut and fit, I give them a quick sanding before paint. It will be a dark brown for the exterior facing aluminum trim pieces, and black for the inside faces of the window frame itself. Hopefully this makes a lot more sense once we mount the TV in there. And while those window parts are drying, let's shift gears and talk about how I'm going to power the shed, specifically using the Zendure SuperBase Pro 2000. Now, eventually I plan on running power out here, but I haven't yet, and I'm not really sure when I'm going to do that. And because my current solution is to run an extension cord across my yard, which is not great, I am instead going to use this portable power station from Zendure. Now, you've probably seen the rise in popularity and availability of power stations like this, but this one, the SuperBase Pro 2000, is different for a couple reasons. And the first one is the massive 2,096 watt-hour capacity with the rated 2,000 watt output. But with a peak output of up to 3,000 watts, it means you can power some much larger things like tools that I'm using to build the shed. And what makes this great on the SuperBase Pro 2000 is that you get all of that in this relatively small form factor weighing less than 50 pounds. And because it's paired with 2 rugged wheels and an extendable handle, it's portable. You can take it really wherever you need it. Another really cool feature are the various ways you can actually charge this thing. So you've got a standard 120 volt plug for here in the States, and then actually the unit comes with 2 different options for solar charging, which is a pretty attractive option for a little building like a shed. In fact, you can get an 80% charge on this thing in under an hour when connecting to a standard wall plug or a high output solar panel. And another feature found on this one that you won't find on many other power stations like it is that it has a fully functional UPS feature in it. UPS standing for uninterruptible power supply, meaning you can use this in parallel with a standard supply of power to provide a backup should that power go out. Now, hopefully you saw in my 3D printing video, I run all of my printers with a UPS. So the fact that that's built into this thing as well, pretty cool. And you can see on the power output side of things, we've got 6 standard outlets and a little 12 volt adapter here for other devices. Plus on the front, you've got 4 USB-C outlets for charging things like cell phones and small electronic devices. So it's got more than enough capacity for everything I'm using to build the shed, and then once the shed is built, I can use it as a UPS once I have power run to the shed. And the kicker is it's got 4G connectivity. Yeah, that means even if I don't have Wi-Fi, which I probably won't out here at the shed, I can still pull up the app on my phone, check charge level, charge status, turn the device on, and a bunch of other things. I personally think it's really cool that we live in a time where that much power is that accessible and that inexpensive, making it really easy to have an off-grid building like the Camp House shed. So if you're looking for one of the fastest solar recharging IoT power stations out there, you've got to check out the Zendure SuperBase Pro 2000. I'll leave a link down below if you want to go check it out, maybe learn more about it. It's a fantastic piece of hardware. So thank you, Zendure, for sponsoring this video, and let's go put some doors in or something. So I went and bought a pretty standard steel exterior door for the entry door in the shed. And as I'm carrying it up, I kind of feel like something's off. So I double checked my opening for my door, and sure enough, I made it way too small. See, most doors come in pretty standard sizes, 30 inch, 32, and 36 inches. That's pretty much the norm. And I can remember when I was designing this up, going for a 32 inch door, which means I need a 34 inch rough opening. How I got off 4.5 inches? And honestly, I should have known because nothing catastrophic has happened in this video yet. So of course this would. So I was hoping just to pop in the door and move on, but now I have to basically move my framing, cut everything out, make a new header. Triple check your measurements. So as I prepare for framing surgery, I'm gonna first get my new king stud in place so the wall has some support once I cut out the old one. Then I can peel back the house wrap in order to cut through the sheathing on the outside. Now, it's painful watching this back because I'm currently making another mistake. You see, I traced a line to the inside edge of the new king stud, not where the jack stud will go. So in my haste to get this cut out, I cut the exterior opening technically 1.5 inches too large. Ay, ay, ay. And this is me in real time coming to the sudden realization that I'm an idiot. Yet again. This whole shed business sure is a humbling experience, let me tell you. Now, as dumb as I felt, I knew it wasn't the end of the world. I could just cut a strip of OSB to cover the jack stud in order to have a nice flat surface to secure the trim to later. And while I'm here, I can finally get this treated sill plate cut out of the doorway. And after removing the old header, I decided to try this novel concept called measuring to make sure that I make the new one correctly. And with the new header in place, I can finally cut the jack stud and get it put into position, finally restoring the doorway to a mostly in-spec opening ready for a door. There you go. See? It's like nothing ever happened. We'll just make it our little secret. And I can now finally slide the door into place and get it mounted. Now, as luck would have it, because my foundation is perfect, there's a big swale or low spot underneath where the door is. It's underneath the porch, so I'm not overly worried about it, but why not, right? Just why not? After shimming the living daylights out of this bottom corner, I got it plumb and square enough to secure in place and start making adjustments. And for anyone out there who's installed a door before, I begin the dance of opening and shutting the door about 1,200 times to adjust the reveal and get it working properly. It's just an iterative process. With the position set, I then proceed to pump an entire tube of liquid nails underneath the threshold to both help fill the gap and keep the shims in place underneath. Now I'll go back and seal the inside and outside edges later so you don't see any of this. Now back to the shop so I can cut out the polycarbonate sheet for the custom window, which, by the way, wholly expensive. The newly dried frame pieces go together with glue and brad nails, before sliding in the clear polycarbonate sheet. Now I decided to go with polycarbonate over glass because, well, 3 kids, what can I say? After a quick check for square, I get to work putting on the aluminum channel face frame, for lack of a better term. They're a pretty snug fit, but I decided to put a little bit of CA glue underneath just to make sure they stay in place. I gotta admit, it was pretty satisfying seeing the final product come together. I'm pretty pleased with how it's looking so far. Finally, the last step on this window is to add the mounting flanges. I drilled holes in both sides, one to attach to the window frame itself, and the other will be used to attach the window assembly to the shed. And now to just pop this in here and... wait a minute. You've got to be kidding me. Now, I wish I had some clever excuse as to why that happened, but I don't. And you would have thought after dealing with the door that I would make sure to avoid doing that again, but I didn't. And I know my fix isn't up to code. A jack stud should be a stud, not a piece of 3/4 inch plywood. But guys, it's a shed, okay? Come on. The good news is that now all 9 windows are in place, flashed, ready to get trimmed out. And the last thing needed to get this thing buttoned up is the big steel roll-up door. And I've got the whole inside of the shed cleared out so that we can get this thing assembled and installed. And upon unpacking my brand new Janus Industrial 650 roll-up door, I'm greeted with a nice big dent. Okay, solid start. I then get to work laying everything out and figuring out how exactly this is going to work, which, I'll admit, took me a little while. My daughter and nephew even swung by to offer emotional support before quickly getting bored and leaving. But it's a good thing because the champion of proper PPE over here apparently has the memory of a goldfish and forgot that working around metal things leads to cuts on hands. Guys, I'll get it one of these days, okay, I promise. And after realizing that I should have definitely not unwrapped the door yet, I managed to get both rails attached and put some bungee cords around the door to hopefully hold it together during install. And I will say that in the instructions, as well as the very helpful installation video on YouTube, they clearly state multiple times that you should not attempt this alone. It could result in serious injury or damage to the door. But that's gotta be for, someone else. I mean, I'm building this whole shed by myself. I don't think they know that. If I can do that, surely I can lift some domed metal door into place. And let me tell you, I was so close to being wrong. With the world's wobbliest door raising and narrowly escaping disaster about a dozen times, I finally got the beast stood up. I even got to show off my no-handed lag screw load into the drill move. All jokes aside, that is most definitely a 2-man job. It was a pretty dumb decision to do that alone because dropping that door not only could have really hurt me, it might have been even more painful to shell out another $750 for replacement. Speaking of that, let's talk about costs. The largest expense of this portion of the build was the roll-up door itself, coming in at $744 shipped. Next up were the windows. For a total of 8 utility windows, that bill came to $373. The exterior steel entry door and door handle came out to $282. The total materials for my custom window build was $235. And finally, miscellaneous like flashing and sealant added $97. This means the total spend for windows and doors was $1,731. And our running project total, after correcting a missing $300 in the last video, now sits at $10,805. Well, that was an adventure. When I set out to install windows and doors, I thought, how hard could this be? This will be an easy one. I did not think I was gonna have to modify the framing in not one, but 2 spots. But you know what? We did it. And I learned how to put doors in, including this giant monstrosity metal roll-up door. I am a little disappointed at the giant dent sitting square in the middle of the door. So I'll see if they'll give me a little bit of money back. I certainly don't want another door because that would mean I have to take this one down and put a new one up. I'm just gonna live with it. But man, it sure is nice having this thing in place and sealed off so that rain can't get in there. Now, obviously, every one of these windows and doors needs trim around them, which we'll tackle when I put up the siding, which actually just got delivered. So if you wanna see this thing through till the end, make sure you're subscribed. I'm telling you, it helps me out. Also, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video and leave a comment on something that maybe I should have done different. Who am I kidding? That'd be everything. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next episode, and until then, keep pursuing construction mediocrity.